sensory experiences. I don't know. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. As you can probably tell from the title of today's video, we're going to be doing an AMA, which is an Ask Me Anything. I don't remember the last time I did one of these, or if I've actually ever done one on YouTube. I've definitely done one on Instagram, but I honestly can't remember if I've done one over here or not. So yeah, a while ago I asked my followers over on Instagram to ask me anything, and today I'll just be answering those questions. I think these questions are mostly to do with writing, but there might be the odd one about reading as well. I actually got some really good thought-provoking questions. So whenever anyone puts an AMA out on Instagram, I always tend to just go for silly questions. So I'm quite surprised I got some decent questions. So thank you. Thank you for not being like me. The first question I have is, what is the one book you think everyone should read at least once in their life? I like this question a lot. It might be the only reading one, unfortunately, but whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It's quite a hard question to answer. I have a handful of books that I personally think are just like jaw-droppingly good. I think that I would recommend Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. I always recommend that book. It was the book that made me fall in love with Neil Gaiman, aside from Good Omens. I absolutely love it. I've got a couple of versions of it. It's probably one of the only books I've ever actually reread. I'm not a big rereader. I don't really know why that is. I just don't tend to reread or rewatch things either. I just don't. I like to watch a film and then that's it. I've seen it. Another one, this is not original at all, but The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I read this book when I think I was about 16, and it genuinely changed the way that I look at reading and the way I look at books. So I would always recommend that one. I think everyone should read that book. And the last one I would recommend is We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shelley Jackson. And I only read that in January of this year, and I absolutely adored it. I've never read any Shelley Jackson before. I don't really know why I haven't. But I absolutely loved her style of writing. Really dark and eerie and thought-provoking, and just loved it. Loved it. Definitely recommend it. The next question is, where does your writing inspiration come from, and do you base any characters loosely on yourself? So to take the first part of that question, where does your writing come from? I'm very much like an observational writer, I guess, if there's really a term for it. So I just like to see things and then just write them to their normally illogical conclusion. So number 47 was born out of seeing some quite unusual behaviour from a customer in a cafe that I used to frequent before lockdown, and I basically just stretched that attitude and that behaviour to its very unnatural conclusion. And I hope that she never reads the book, because she's probably lovely. Kind of a similar thing with One Road In. I got the idea for One Road In when I was sat on a beach writing, just at the town next door to where I live, and I was watching these kids push a red canoe out into the channel, and yeah, it was just that image. That image just set the whole thing for One Road In. And the second part of that question, do you base any characters loosely on yourself? I used to think that the answer to this was no. However, having received quite a lot of feedback for One Road In, I now think it's yes, but probably more unconsciously than consciously. Though, to be honest, the relationship between Sadie and Ben, the two characters in One Road In, is very much taken from my attitudes and growing up with a brother. So yeah, I suppose I do steal little bits from myself and probably family members too, but in a good way. No villains. Not yet, anyway. The next question is from What Victoria Read. I will link her channel down below. Absolutely love her channel and all of her videos, so go and check her out. Especially if you're an Atwood fan. Lots of Margaret Atwood videos. And the question is, if you weren't a writer, which job would you do? Firstly, I wish I was a full-time writer. I'm definitely striving to be a full-time writer one day, but I'm not putting too much pressure on that right now. But if let's just pretend that I'm a full-time writer. If I wasn't a full-time writer, I'm also quite big into music, so I suppose if I could split myself in two, I would also do a lot more music. But I tend to focus solely on writing and reading, to be honest. The next question is, do you have any works in progress you can tease? No. Sort of. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know I've started working on the second book for One Road In. I don't know what to call it yet. It won't be based around that, so it won't be like Two Roads In or One Road Out or whatever. But it will be the same universe as One Road, but it will have a different cast of characters mostly. So it's going to be quite a different feeling to One Road In, and it won't be set in the 90s. So I can tell you that. I can also tell you that I'm about halfway through another book called Rhodesia Hotel, which has gone through many phases now. It looks entirely different to what it looked like when I first started it. And that is, it's basically a haunted hotel, not The Shining, but it's realistically it's going to be about like family issues and parental issues and nitty gritty stuff, but set in a hotel that's haunted. This question I don't have an answer for. This is a question from Richard Holiday, who just loves James Herbert. And I unfortunately don't like James Herbert. I've never found a James Herbert novel that I've managed to actually finish. So his question is, what's your favourite James Herbert book? And I would have to say I unfortunately don't have one. However, The Landlady by Richard Holiday was pretty good, and I hear that's meant to be based around James Herbert, so yeah, if you haven't read that and you like James Herbert, go check that out. This question is, what helps you stay disciplined to write? I'll be honest, I am not the most disciplined. I don't have a proper timetable, but I am working on that. Yeah, lockdown life and working from home has completely ruined any idea of structure and routine that I had, and with that my discipline has disappeared. So I'm working on that right now. So the honest answer, I don't have the discipline to write. I very much at the moment fall back on wanting to read, so I'm just reading a huge amount to basically stop myself from writing, which is terrible. But yeah, the last couple of weeks that's changed because I have worked out what I actually want to do with One Road, and I think having a plan definitely helps me write. I need some kind of end goal. I'm not very good without a deadline. As I may have mentioned before, so I suppose just deadlines and routine theoretically help me stay focused to write. The next question is from Bethany Votor, and it is, what's been your favourite thing you have ever written? I would have to say One Road In. Though number 47 was the first thing I wrote, so it's always going to have like a special place, I suppose. But yeah, One Road In is just so much of a bigger challenge. I am still slightly surprised that I even managed to finish it, because the plans initially were just this horrible garbled mess on my living room wall, literally with red string everywhere, like the episode of Always Sunny with Charlie and the string and stuff, and it was just a bit mad and it wasn't very focused. So the fact that I managed to refine that and actually make it something cohesive that people enjoyed, that's definitely the thing I'm proudest of so far. The last question is, how do you find inspiration for your books? So I've kind of already answered this, but I suppose there's a bit more to it than just being observational. I find a lot of inspiration in just like, this sounds really corny, I don't know how to say this, but like sensory experiences? I don't know. I like to write with the five senses. Sometimes I do that too much and then I have to bring it back in editing, but I would always rather have too much and have to strip it back. I very much feel like the kind of person that experiences things with all five senses. I remember a lot of things through smell and taste and like the texture of things. So I find quite a lot of inspiration through that, and also in what I read. So Rhodesia Hotel, which I'm partway through writing, that has changed faces quite a lot. Recently I've decided to change it again off the back of reading quite a lot of Shelley Jackson, because I absolutely adore the eeriness in Shelley Jackson's work, but it's not, her kind of eerie isn't like in your face eerie, it's stuff that's so close to the bone and so close to something that could happen and so close to like genuine real human emotions and connections. I want to bring more of that to Rhodesia and still have the paranormal element, because obviously it's a haunted hotel and you can't not have it, but have it in a different way and explore that in a different, almost a bit more of a mature way. So yeah, I find inspiration kind of everywhere. So that was all of the questions. If you have a question for me, please put it in the comments below. I'm more than happy to stick around and have a chat. If you liked this video, please do give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel. This year I'm going to be focusing mostly on bookish content, I suppose. So more booktube, a little bit of authortube, a bit of everything. And a bit more in-depth stuff. So if you haven't seen my sort of semi-video essay on classics and if we should still be reading them, then do check that out. That took a really long time to film and research, so it would mean a lot if you watched it. And let me know what you thought. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time with another video. Bye!